Hey y'all, so this week my saddle rack was broken last weekend. The pin sheared off when I was loading the saddles onto it. I guess it just finally had enough and decided that I needed to get new bolts for it. So I was a little nervous trying to do this job because I wasn't quite sure I could get it done, but I had to give it a try because we had a competition coming up and I needed that saddle rack to be back where it belongs. Here I'm digging in my tools to find the right size fit, like a wrench to get these bolts and nuts, or the nuts broken loose and the bolts kind of out of the wall. And then also what was nice is I was digging for inventory to see if I had what I needed to remount this without going to the store. What was really unfortunate was I had the right size bolt and diameter, but it wasn't long enough. And then I had a couple that were the right length, but they weren't thick enough to get that same secure hold that we needed. So here are the bolts. I'm just pushing the bolts back through the hole that sheared off. I wasn't able to get the bottom one because it was bent, and I was just planning to figure out how to cut that or bend it back to try to push it out through the hole. Since I didn't have what I needed, made a run to Lowe's. Here is a handy size chart that you can test your bolts in to find out what size you're looking for. Don't worry if you don't take a picture because the bolts have letters on them and you can look them up as you check out. Was not aware of this, but I had a picture in case. Here is that pesky bent bolt. I was not able to bend it back. I was worried I was going to waller out the hole through the wall, so I talked to El Jefe and he suggested that I use a hacksaw to get it cut. This one was not the best. I couldn't get it to get tension on it. Here I got a little bit bigger, but I was really disappointed. I scratched the wall a little bit as I was using it. So that made it a little more challenging, trying not to tear up my trailer as I'm fixing it. Finally, I'm getting the bolt broken off and I'm trying to push it back through the hole. Again, I'm worried that I'm going to waller out the hole because I don't want to make it too big because then it's going to be tricky to try to get a secure fit. So I see that I can get through the other side, so I make another trip up to the shop because apparently the top of the bolt is a little bit smaller than the actual bolt or nut that you would use. So I had to go get a different size wrench so I could squeeze in here and get this busted loose. Thankfully, I was able to just unwind it or screw it out of there and get that cleared out. And foolishly, I went all the way up to the house and left my bolts in the truck, and I was very annoyed with myself that I wasn't prepared or just didn't grab it while I was already up that way. So I got to work on my exercise and get those extra steps in as I went to the truck. I went ahead and went in the trailer and pushed one of the top bolt through the wall there, so that way I could go inside and hang the rack on that top bolt, thinking that if I could get that set, then I could go ahead and just go push the other bolts through. So there, I get it hanging, but it's not secure. So I come to the inside, and what was really interesting, I was thinking that I would already be lined up with the holes of the saddle rack. So I go ahead and I'm getting those set, but the bottom two wouldn't go all the way in. They just kind of stopped part of the way, like you can see. So I go back around the other side, and that's when I realized that my saddle rack holes, the top one must have been wallered out a little bit, and so now it's too low for the bottom holes to fit through, or the bolts to fit through the holes. So I had to go back up to the shop, get some more steps in for today, and get me a jack that I could wedge underneath. I was really looking for a floor jack that I could just pump up, but I did not want to have to dig out of my truck and get my car jack for this, but thankfully I found this other jack to hold this up, and I was able to wedge it just enough to make the holes line up so I could go to the other side of the trailer and push the bolts through. So here I'm finally able to make some progress and get those bolts to take. For some reason, this third bolt, it just would not let me do it with my hand. I had to end up using my my wrench there and able to get it through there. And I try to do these projects in the heat of the day, and I am sweating. This is definitely a little bit tougher than I was expecting just because of the heat and dealing with that. I try to save my mornings for working with the animals and get that done so that they're not suffering, and I leave this for another time. I was able to get the bolts to thread through, but I needed a little bit of love taps with the hammer to get the bolts to come all the way through. And then I go through and I get the nuts placed on, and I just kind of lightly hand tighten the nuts. And then after I get that, I alternate down between them all and get them a little bit more snug, so that way we don't have any rocking on the saddle rack to keep it secure. Super excited I was able to get this done, because just the next day we had that rodeo to haul our rodeo princess to. She's been working really hard, and I wanted to have everything set up and ready to go. And hopefully I get brownie points with El Jefe, because I pick up my tools, and I am proud to say that I did put them back where I got them, so they'll be ready for the next project, and we can keep rocking and rolling. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I hope you found this encouraging. I'm super excited that we got this remounted and we were ready to go.